Welcome to a new market update in a weekend where Bitcoin and Ethereum are making new highs not seen since the crash in May. New highs in 3 months. While people that have been waiting for Bitcoin to hit 20k a few weeks back are currently feeling the FOMO, in which the overall question is, when should I buy back into the markets? While we're currently already getting into a stage of euphoria where people are shouting massively high numbers again for altcoins and Bitcoin and Ethereum at this stage. I've also stated something about the cycle top predictions, which is different than the current phase, and I'll describe that as soon as possible on YouTube. So today we're going to discuss what you should be doing and what you should be looking at when you're analyzing the charts. And before that, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to this YouTube channel beneath and also check out my Twitter page. It's all free content there. If you give me a follow, that will be highly appreciated. So when we look at Bitcoin right now, we can see that we've had a pretty heavy bounce from the London hard fork 2 days ago. So the support is around 37k, and the area that we wanted to be buying around 36 to 34.5 got front run at this stage. So what we look at right now is the fact that we are breaking above the critical level of 40.6 to 41.2, and we are looking at the next resistance zones that we have around 45k and 49 area. This is the critical breaker. If that breaks, you're likely going to look at the next area and the other side of the range of this structure, while a bearish retest would still be fine too. In the case that we've broken the entire structure, so we've been making lower lows, lower highs in the past months, we've created a bullish divergence there, and we've broken that structure in which we're currently making new higher highs. In that case, you still want to look at a higher low, especially when it comes to Ethereum. You want to see a substantial corrective move in which we are looking at a higher low structure. So when we're looking at the daily, the levels of support are still standing. Right now we've got this one here, meaning that a corrective move of Bitcoin, you don't necessarily want to see it drop below 37.5 to 38.5, given that that is currently the critical level. If we go back in time, we can see an example here too. If you see the structure here, you don't want to see it making new lower lows, right? And you can also see it in the structure that we have here. Bullish bounce upwards, corrective move, but not dropping below a critical level. So in that case, this is an area that we should be looking at when a corrective move is going to happen. But what we're overall looking at is the fact that we just broke this high. So the critical level on the lower time frames is structured by this previous high, which is around 42.3. If we are going to make any fuckeries through the weekend, which is not too, which we have seen quite often, wouldn't be strange to see something like that happening. And in that case, we lose 42.3. I think we skip 40 and go all the way back towards 38k once again. So then we most likely get a structure in which we might be even making a bearish divergence at this stage already. But if we lose 42.3k, you're probably going to see a structure like this. And then the question becomes how far we're going to correct before we are finishing this entire move and before we are heating up for the next big wave. So the critical level that you should be looking at with Bitcoin is this level around 42.2. Should you be buying back into Bitcoin at this stage? I think your chances are gone. It is comparable to the fact that everybody was selling, or at least majority was selling Bitcoin in this range, expecting Bitcoin to hit 20k. So people were eager to short in this range and eager to sell their Bitcoins to buy back lower, while right now people are interested in Bitcoin because they are expecting to go higher, which is the opposite of the bearish euphoria we had here. So at this case, if we look at the structure of Bitcoin, the chances of a corrective move are getting significant, and especially if you look at Ethereum, through which if you want to trade right now, you shouldn't be really looking at longs swing wise, as a big swing move has been happening already. So I think you want to lay back a little bit before you want to start entering the markets. Personally, in my strategy, I've been taking profits earlier this week already, and I've been doing it in this recent move of Ethereum as well, and I'm sharing that all in my platform, which you can find in the description beneath, where you can become a member, and I share all the trades that I do there. Should you be looking at shorts? Well, if we do lose 42.3, that is definitely a level that you should be looking at for a potential short opportunity. So when we look at Ethereum, we can see that we finally broke that critical resistance zone, right? But in this entire case, we didn't really have any corrective move at all, and which is a little bit different than Bitcoin, but we can also conclude that this one is outperforming Bitcoin heavily in the recent period. So what is going to happen right now? There's two chances. One is the next resistance zone can be found around 3250. If we get there, a corrective move towards the block around 26 is very likely, in which we are going to construct ourselves in a new range-bound structure. That is scenario 1. Then we probably get a sort of blow-off top and correct all the way back to either 29 or 25.5, just as in any of these structures in which we retest levels. Of course, the levels that we created earlier this week are still standing. Those levels are still very important for me personally to watch, and that's the area at 21.30, but also the area we have at 23.5. When we look at the lower time frames, we can conclude the exact same as what we have been doing with Bitcoin. So we've got this critical resistance that we broke through, and if this is going to be a blow-off case and we drop beneath that recent low at 28.5 to 29, the chances of a heavier correction to happen are significant. So if you look at the downwards levels right now, this one is the one that you should be looking at. If you want to be looking at shorts, you probably look at a case where we are creating a lower high, or when we break beneath 28.50 for a bearish retest. That is where you want to start looking for a short opportunity. Is this an entry point for Ethereum at this case? No, it's not. It is comparable to what I just said, bears that were shorting Bitcoin at 28k, expecting a further breakdown to be happening on the markets. So right now we are going vertical with Ethereum. The critical level on the downside is 28.50. If that is going to hold, 33 is next for Ether. But if that is not going to hold, I'm still going to look at any of these regions beneath, starting with the entire block at 25 for a potential and long entry swing-wise. So that's my update for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll see you again tomorrow with a fresh new update, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.